On the other side are all the problems caused by society reacting negatively towards people with mental illness. And I'd see that as all the problems of stigma.
Sometimes when you say it to people, you can see them like, oh my God, you know, but you've just got to sort of prove them wrong.
I think it comes from someone else saying it to them in the playground. That man's mad, you know, that man's silly. You know, he's a silly, silly Billy man.
I think in certain circles of entertainment you're sort of encouraged to be crazy or mad, especially TV or film stars or pop stars. People don't have the sort of sympathy for them. I mean, if there's someone who lives in a huge mansion and she's, you know, openly telling the press that she's suicidal or she's, you know, got to a point where she really can't cope with her life, a lot of people don't believe that because they think, well, you've got everything that I want. You've got the cars, you've got the money, and they're kind of seen as this crazy character that somehow isn't human.
Many people with mental illness say that the stigma is the worst thing. It's actually worse than the main symptoms of the mental illness.
Because people don't understand mental illness, they hear about it, they see programs, films, and the first thing they're thinking of, you know, is he going to hurt me, or is he violent, you know?
The large majority of people and the large majority of mental illness conditions do not pose a greater risk to anybody else than somebody with a heart attack or epilepsy or high blood pressure.
Freddy Krueger, Jason off Friday the 13th or Halloween or whatever he was from or something. It's that kind of... It's easy to grab that and say, well, yeah, this is what people with that particular problem are like. This is... And it gets into people's psyche, you know, it does.
If you take newspapers or television or film, then you find that all the stories about mental illness, between a third and two-thirds are about violence. If you take children's cartoons, particularly Disney animations, you find that 85% of all the mentally ill characters are shown as violent, unpredictable or risky.
It's there, it's everywhere. It's from the radio, the TV, the newspapers. Because it's such an influence on the general population, it's the opinion that you hear at work, in the pub.
The tabloids got a lot to do with that. And even a lot of the, you know, sort of broadsheet papers as well.
They don't show the positive side of things, they only want to show the sensational. It's bad news, it's depressing things, it's the economy's terrible, this is terrible.
Very negative. There's a lot of negativity that I see. They wouldn't do it with fat people, they wouldn't do it with black people, they wouldn't do it with any other people.
If they showed the positive side of things as well, it would be much better.
Well, recently I accused a journalist in a national newspaper of being obsessed with stories about mental illness and violence. And so his reply was, no, we're not obsessed with mental illness, but we are very interested in stories about violence because that's what people want to pay money for and buy the newspapers to read. Just as you look at what's on television tonight, you'll find half of the programmes to do with crime and so on. So I think that this is, if you like, an entertainment or a media product that sells. Now, whether that's got anything to do with fair coverage of what is mental illness, well, journalists will say that's a separate matter. We're not there to sort of portray the real world. We're there to produce copy that will sell our newspaper and will make it a profit. That's quite a separate question.
I think people still now have issues with drawing the line between entertainment and reality. You know, celebrity culture comes into that where there's such a crossover between news and somebody that appears in a soap.
I mean, I've only now started to feel comfortable enough to start seeing a psychiatrist. It's taken me years of suffering.
It's very hard going to seek treatment, and you've got this GP that's seeing a patient every 3 minutes or every 5 minutes, and it's really...
Fear of being stigmatised, fear of being labelled has kept me completely in isolation and quite alone.
I was embarrassed to talk about it. It was the fear they wouldn't believe you. It was just feeling, I don't know, stupid. That was probably the hardest step of it all. After that it became much easier.
This one's entitled Separation and Anxiety. My washing machine caught on fire. I will never leave it on its own again.
people who suffer from mental distress.
This year, a quarter of all the adults in your town, in my town, everywhere in the country will have some mental illness that interferes with their lives. We know that over the course of your lifetime or my lifetime, a half of all adults will have some form of mental illness.
We get people coming up saying, I really like the lyrics that you had in that song. You know, it really touched me because it made me feel as though I'm not the only one.
Because we're more open, we bring the conversation up, and then we find out that it's really very common, and that so many people have suffered either with depression or some sort of mental health problem at some point in their lives. That it's, you know, there shouldn't be a stigma attached because we're human.
Everyone's got mental health, positive and negative.
I think madness is part of the human condition. I don't know who said that, someone said it somewhere before, I think. But I do think there's degrees of it and different elements that everyone's got to a degree.
My plans for the future. Plans for the future is to develop Sound Minds more, to get more talent together, to go to areas where the talent are. I'm talking people with mental health issues. To go to places where the talent is, to bring them together, and create a community of people within the community.
Going off doing some advanced ECD out just now at the local college, and then later this year going to start doing an HND in IT.
We'd love to get the album, which we want to do ourselves, and get that pressed up and stuff.
And it's getting near to that now. We've recorded nearly all the tracks, so it's that usual sort of getting back into the studio and mixing it.
When I'm depressed, I put on music, and you know, it'd be nice to think that if somebody, it might actually cheer somebody up. You know, they could put on a CD and listen to it. But we are a live band. That's what we love to do.